The Egyptologist teaches us that in Egypt there were two schools, the school of the great mystery and the great of the little mystery. However, they recognize that the soldier and the priest were the two tests upon which stood the power of Pharaoh, of the king. And they have privilege that no other segment of the society had. So we can say there were two mysteries in the human mystery. In the human mystery, there were the civil mystery and the martial mystery.
Salama bena Zulu bena Kongo. Mbote to all the Bena Congo all over the world, the dispersed of Isolele in the eastern and western hemisphere. May the spirit of Tatanzan Bantu Migration be with all of you wherever you are in this world. I am Nabi Kefas. Once again, I am joined with our highly respected Dr. Luyaluka, who is right now in Brazzaville. Dr. Luyaluka, we have done several videos together, several interviews. I really enjoy them. They're always so insightful, intriguing, and revealing. And today we're going to talk about the kinship between the mystery schools of Egypt and those of Congo. Hallelujah. Good to have you once again on the platform. How have you been, Dr. Luyaluka?
I'm fine, thank you, and it's my joy to be here again and speak to your people. Thank you so much.
So you've been traveling back and forth?
Yes, I'll be traveling around Africa in order to share this good news. So for the time being, I'm in Brazzaville after having been in Nairobi today.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So you told me that even people on the continent are very eager to learn the revelation which you have received.
Yes, there is a great interest among African people. Even in this morning, I've been talking with someone who came from France, and I realized that there is an eagerness on the side of our young people to want to know the truth about the religion of their ancestors.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it reminds me of a scripture in the book of Malachi. That says, in the last days, the spirit of the fathers will go after the sons, and the sons after the fathers. Now, the fathers there, of course, in its definition, is ancestors. So to me, it's very clear that the ancestors of the African, the Bankulu Balongo, are going after the sons, and we spirits are waking up to reconnect. So I really believe that this is the time for all the Africans, Bena Congo, Bena Nzambe, to wake up. And what you're teaching is bringing a lot of clarification, revelation to this African spirit. So thank you for that. Thank you for your precious books, of course, about Congo. It has really helped me in discovering some truths, right? As I'm also a student, I read a lot. So Matondo for being here. Now, Dr. Luyaluka, we know that the Bantus, we migrated from the north. Yes, we came from the north. We were in, what people will say, Kemet, Egypt. We were there. We lived along the Nile civilizations. We lived there many thousands of years. But in some time, our ancestors migrated to the south. We crossed over and we filled Central Africa, West Africa, and South Africa. So there is this kinship with Kemet. Please, I give you the platform. Teach us today about the kinship.
Thank you very much for all of you who joined this show with Nabi Kefa. And I thank you so much, Nabi Kefa, for inviting me again in order to talk to your community. We are going to talk about the kinship between Kemet and Sub-Saharan Africa, especially with Kemet with Congo. The kinship of Kemet with Sub-Saharan Africa has become one of the great themes in the study of ancient civilization of Egypt since the great work of Sheikh Anta Diop. The great contribution of the Senegalese scholar considered in his carbon-14 proof of the rate of the melanin of ancient Egyptians has been indicative of their black complexion. To this contribution of Diop was added the work of Theophile Obenga. As a linguist, Obenga worked to prove that there is a similarity between the Sub-Saharan languages and that of Kemet. That these subjects of the kinship of Kemet and Sub-Saharan Africa is one of the subject matters of the Institut des Sciences Animiques, the academic research branch of NZILA LOWA. NZILA LOWA is a modern academy of African traditional spirituality that we founded and manage. The particularity of the contribution of NZILA LOWA in this debate about the kinship of Kemet and Sub-Saharan Africa is that it relies on the theological similarity that can be established between both cultural spaces, especially between Kemet and Congo culture. The proof of the kinship of Kemet and Congo established by NZILA LOWA is based, first of all, on the similarity of the religious doctrines of both culture with the religious truth obtained through a cosmological argument that we labeled Kemetic. Generally speaking, a cosmological argument is an attempt to demonstrate the existence of God by starting from the existence of our cosmos. We start from the cosmos to prove the existence of the creator of the cosmos. History teaches us that the first attempt of the cosmological argument was made by the great philosopher Plato in the book 10 of his work titled The Law. A question arises here. How can a Grecian student abiding in an Hellenic polytheistic culture attempt to demonstrate the existence of a unique cause of our temporal universe? The answer to this query comes from Xenophanes, who wrote, "Many gods exist according to custom, but only one exists according to nature." It should be kept in mind that the custom the philosopher is referring to is the Grecian one, a polytheistic one, while the nature, by nature, he implies science. the science the Grecian students were learning in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, which means that by trying to demonstrate the existence of God through the cosmological argument, they were trying to demonstrate the existence of the God taught in Egypt, not in Grecia. Since this attempt of the demonstration of the existence of an ultimate cause of the temporal universe is contrary to the polytheistic nature of their native culture, the Grecian culture, we conclude that the Grecian philosophers learned about the existence of one God and the possibility of the demonstration of his existence in ancient Egypt. Unfortunately, they were never taught the true nature of this God who is called Soul Lord in the text of Pyramid and One Lord in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. So the Egyptians knew about the existence of a Most High God, who they were calling Soul Lord or One Lord. In their ignorance, the Grecian philosopher conceived the One Lord as being the supreme being creator, while the Egyptian priests made a distinction between the Most High and the Creator. The attempt of the Grecian philosopher has been a failure. So is it up to now. The cosmological argument has used in the West is unable to demonstrate the existence of a Most High God. Why is it a failure? Because there is a question. Where does creation occur? Where does creation occur? If creation occurs in God, thus God changes at the moment of its happening because something in him goes from nothingness to existence. Now, if God changes, there must be a principle of his mutability, and that principle must be higher than God, which is impossible because God is supposed to be the greatest possible being. So creation cannot happen in God, but maybe it happened outside of God. But if creation occurs outside of God, then creation added to God will result in an entity greater than God, which is also impossible. So we see in both ways the concept of the supreme being creator is a wrong one. This implies that the very definition of monotheism used in Western culture is wrong. Monotheism is not the existence of only one supreme being, creator of the temporal universe. Monotheism is better defined by the African culture as the existence of only one supreme being who is enthroned above lower divinities that are but his manifestations. The true monotheism is hierarchical, the one taught by the African culture since ancient Egypt, the only one that is logically demonstrable. The demonstration of the existence of this God is one of the greatest contributions of NZILA LOWA. And it can be done the following way. Thanks to the Kemetic cosmological argument. The individual nature of our temporal universe has a collection of individual entities, makes of it the products of an individual cause. So our temporal universe being an individual one, it is the result of an individual cause. In the infinity of possibilities, the individual nature of this cause implies the existence of other similar causes. Each one of these different causes can be effective or potential, that is, having already or not having yet created the temporal universe. Under the hypothesis that every creation exists in its creator, an indispensable hypothesis that I use just in order to bring brevity to our demonstration. If we take the sum total of all these potential and effective creators, we arrived at an entity which is the greatest possible being. And this greatest possible being is the Most High God. It follows that as the greatest possible being, the Most High is absolutely immutable and indivisible. Because if he were not, there should be a principle of his divisibility and mutability. And that principle must be greater than God, which is impossible because the Most High we have demonstrated here is the greatest possible being. So God is immutable and God is indivisible. Now, the indivisible nature of God implies also his transcendence. God is transcendent, which means he doesn't include evil. If God knew evil within the frame of his indivisibility, where substance and consciousness are one, God will be infinitely good and infinitely bad, which is an ontological impossibility. So God is immutable, indivisible, and transcendent. Transcendent means that he's above everything and he doesn't include evil. We have seen that each effective and potential creator expresses an individuality which is included in the Most High. However, the Most High is indivisible. So we come to the conclusion that each creator expresses the wholeness of God in an individual manner. That wholeness of God is what we call the Logos. The indivisible nature of the Most High implies that there is a unity of God, the Father, Mother, and the Creator of the children of God and the Logos. A unity of the Father, Mother, the child of God, and the Logos. They are one in existence, one in substance, and one in activity. With this is Solar Trinity. This Trinity can be symbolized when one stands in front of the mirror. When you stand in front of a mirror, you see your image in the mirror. So you have three reality. You, the power of the reflection of the mirror, and the image. If you move, your image moves thanks to the power of the reflection of the mirror. If your image does something, it is you doing it in it, thanks to the power of the reflection of the mirror. Now the Logos is the power of the reflection of the wholeness of God in the child of God. A question arises here. Where does creation occurs in relation to the Most High? We know by hypothesis that creation occurs in the consciousness of the Creator. But now the question is in relation to the Most High God, where does the creation occurs? The creation cannot occur in the Most High due to the absolute immutability of the Most High. The creation cannot also occur outside of God, because added to God, it will result in an entity greater than God, which is impossible. However, we know that all reality is in God, because God is the sum total of the heavenly realm. And we know also that creation occurs in the Creator. So we come to the conclusion that creation is only a limited perception of the celestial reality in the temporal consciousness of the Creator. The visible is only an appearance of the invisible. In other words, reality is spiritual, never material. Contrary to the Western usage of the cosmological argument, the Kemetic cosmological argument can be extended as to include the essential doctrines of a salvational religion, the solar religion. Thus, the Kemetic cosmological argument is a natural systematic theology. Since every statement of this argument is drawn deductively from the previous one, they cannot contradict. So we have a set of deductive coherent truths. We have what is called an exact science. So solar religion, the religion that is drawn from this cosmological argument, is an exact science. So from the Kemetic cosmological argument, we have learned the existence of a Most High God, who is the Father, Mother, the existence of potential and effective creators, the existence of the Logos, the manifestation of the wholeness of God in his children, the existence of Solar Trinity, or the unity of God, the Creator, and the Logos in the existence, the substance, and activity. We have learned the transcendence of the Most High. We have learned the apparent nature of the visible universe. So the question is, can all these doctrines be found in Kemet and in Congo? My answer is yes. And that is the first kinship between Kemet and Congo. Of ancient Egypt, we learned the following doctrine from the theology of Memphis: the existence of a Most High God who is called the Soul Lord by the text of Pyramid, and the One Lord. And you agree with me that Soul Lord and One Lord is the same expression. One Lord is used by the Egyptian Book of the Dead. We learn from the Memphis theology also the existence of many parallel universes, which imply many creators. And Sheikh Kantadio speaks about this in one of his books. We learn also from the theology of Memphis the existence of a creator of our temporal universe who is called Atom. It is said also that Aton created thanks to the power of Ptah. So Ptah is the Logos working in Aton. In ancient Egypt, prayers were never addressed to the Most High, which means that the Most High is transcendent, as we have been taught in the Kemetic Cosmological Argument. Solar Trinity is often depicted in ancient Egypt as the unity of Osiris, Isis, and Horus. This implies that Osiris stands for God. The unity of Osiris and Isis stands for the Logos, and Horus stands for the child of God in this symbolic representation. That reality belongs to the domain of the invisible is also a doctrine taught by Plato. Now we know that Plato has learned this doctrine in ancient Egypt, because reality is perceived in Greece up to now as being material. So you see, there is a perfect convergence between the Kemetic Cosmological Argument and the theology of Memphis. And we are going to show you that there is also a perfect convergence between the Kemetic Cosmological Argument doctrines and the doctrines of the Bakongo, the Congo religion, which implies a kinship, a theological kinship between Kemet and Kongo. Thanks to a prayer of the prophet Simon Kimbangu, a prayer he made in the forest of Mbanza in Congo Central, in Democratic Republic of Congo, during a clandestine phase of his mission. Thanks to that prayer, we know the theism of Bakongo, and we learn this is the existence of a most high God, Nzambi Ampungu Tulendo. The existence of many temporal universes. Referring to this, Simon Kimbangu appeals to the sons, Baloa, the plural of Loa. A synonymous expression can be found in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 23, which speaks of the firstborn inscribed in the heavens. Now, the expression firstborn is in plural. The appellation firstborn means the Ra, the children of God in heaven. And these are told in Bakongo, Baloa. Now, the Bible says the firstborn in heavens, that is in the temporal plane. Thus we understand that each one is firstborn in his universe, because we cannot have many firstborn in one universe. So we learn here in Egypt, in Congo, and in the Bible, the concept of the existence of many parallel universes. We learn also from Simon Kimbangu the existence of the creator of this universe, who is Baloa. So one of the Baloa, one of the firstborns. We learn also the existence of the Logos. The Logos is known as Mpinanza. It must be noted here that Mpinanza, God is perceived as being father and mother. The conjunction of the male and the female in the book Congo implies the completeness of God. So Pinanta refers to the completeness of God in heaven. In the temporal level, that completeness is called Kimalungila or Kimaungu. We have learned also the existence, we know also the existence of Solar Trinity in the Congo culture. This is told, for example, by this proverb. Makukwa matatu malamba kongo mamole mbodi mam, which means the Congo nation is a port standing upon 3 stones as stove. Those stones can only be a mess. To illustrate this trinity, it is said that the Congo nation stems from the 3 sons, the 3 children of Nzinganku. The first is Nsaku. Nsaku is called the receptor of the revelation coming from Zambi and Kongo to land. So Nsaku stands for the representation of Zambi and Kongo. And then came Mpanzu. Mpanzu inherited the creative power, which is the power of NZILA LOWA. And then came Nzinga. Nzinga, the daughter, inherited the power of governing, which is the power of Mpinanza, because Mpinanza is called the God governor, like in Sumer. In Sumer, the Logos is Enlil, and he is called the governor. In Egypt, the Logos is Ptah, and he's called the God of order. In the Bible, the Logos is called the judge. Now we know that to judge, to set order, to govern is the same function that was devoted to the king. So in some African culture, for example, in the culture of Baganda, the Logos is called Muhanga, God of order. Among the Boshi of Republic of Congo, the Logos is called Nzambe Kane, and it means the judge. And in Congo, the Logos is called Pinanta, and it means the God governor. But in all the cases, it is the same entity, because to judge, to set order, to govern is the same function devoted to the king. So we see that the notion of the unity of the Most High, the Creator, and the Logos is present in Congo culture, which is Solar Trinity. As to the apparent nature of the visible universe, it is also found in Congo culture. This has been, for example, one of the subjects in the study, one of the discovery made by Placide Tempels in his book, Bantu Philosophy. He was told by the Bantu people that the visible human being is only in appearance. The true human being is the invisible one, which implies that for the Bantu people, for the Congo people, reality is invisible. The visible realm is only an appearance. So we see there is a perfect convergence between the Kemetic cosmological argument and the Congo, and the Kemetic cosmological, the Kemetic cosmological argument and Kemet. Thus, we come to see that there is a theological kinship between Kemet and Congo. However, there is also more than this. We can also speak of a kinship between their organization of the mystery schools. The Egyptologist teaches us that in Egypt there were two schools, the school of the great mystery and the great of the little mystery. However, they recognize that the soldier and the priest were the two tests upon which stood the power of Pharaoh, of the king. And they have privilege that no other segment of the society had. So we can say there were two mysteries in the human mystery. In the human mystery, there were the civil mystery and the martial mystery. So we have three mysteries in ancient Egypt: the divine mystery, which is the great mystery, the civil mystery, and the martial mystery. And this is the very same organization which is found in the Congo nation. We have the divine mystery, the human mystery, and the martial mystery. The divine mystery is the Kimpasi. This school was the sacerdotal school, the school of the formation of the prophets. From this school, for example, came Kimpavita, one of the great Congo prophets. The Kimpasi was the greatest of the Congo academies. His teaching were foundational to the schools of human mystery. All those who went through human mystery were first studying the divine mystery, the mystery of the Kimpasi. The epitome of the civil mystery is the Lemba. The Lemba is the most widely known of the Congo initiatory school. It included the schools of law, medicine, trade, governance, etc. The Lemba was the Congo traditional university. And aside from the Kimpasi and the Lemba, there were also the Kinkimba. The Kinkimba was a martial academy. It was the academy that was teaching people how to fight. We know this from the fact that the name Kinkimba stems from Kiba or Kimba, which allude to physical endurance. Second thing, the use of the symbol of the python. The python symbolized the logos in the Kinkimba. And we know that the python is the martial symbol, a martial symbol in Africa. We see this in the voodoo, and where the python is divinized. So we see the same here. Third thing, the commander of the army is called among the Congo people Huamboma, Mamboma, or Ngamboma, which means the owner of the python, which implies also that the army is the python. The army is the Moma. Now, the prime minister of the kingdom of Luango was called Mamboma Chiluangu. Mamboma Chiluangu, which means the commander of the python. Chiluangu is the rainbow, because in the imagination of the Congo people, the rainbow is a python whose nail and head are in Kalunga, in the water, in Pemba, which implies that the true martial power is to be found among the ancestors. The military barrack is called Boma. And we have in the Kingdom of Congo, the town of Boma in Congo Central, and it is situated in the area of Kinship. And the last thing, Bitremur, one who wrote about Kinship, explains that in one of the hearts of Kinship were found pebble rifle for tournaments. So guns were found there. Guns were used for tournaments. So only people going through a military training will use guns for tournaments. So from all of this, we know that the Kinship was a martial academy. Now the question, now we have seen that there is a kinship between Kemet and Kongo, which is a theological one, which also in relation to their organization of the mystery schools. They have the same organization, 3 mystery schools, which imply the divine mystery, the civil mystery, and the martial mystery. Now the question is, how can we explain these convergences between Kemet and Kongo from the historical point of view? We know from the Egyptian priest Manetho that once the East Coast or the Hebrew seized the power in Egypt, their rule was characterized by the mistreatment against the Egyptian population. So this population finally arose and expelled them from Egypt. This is the first exodus. So according to Manetho, there have been 2 exodus which are confused in the Bible. The first exodus was the expulsion of the Hebrews, the Exodus, and we are going to see the second one. Later, the power came to Akhenaten. He became Pharaoh, but in his folly, he wanted his eyes to be opened. Now, we know in Africa that to open the eyes means to become a prophet. And the priest of Ammon explained to Akhenaten that was a time-consuming endeavor. It could not be done in the twinkling of an eye. And Akhenaten was furious and decided to found his own religion, where he was the high priest and where the Most High God is also the creator. So we see that actually the monotheism of the West is a monotheism that was started by Akhenaten. So Akhenaten began to ill-treat, to mistreat the Egyptian priest and the Egyptian population. Eventually, the priest went to Ethiopia. They took the army of Ethiopia and Tutankhamun, who is the son of Akhenaten, and he came to fight against Akhenaten. As Akhenaten was unable to meet with that strong army, he made a recourse to those Hebrews who were expelled in order to help him. Now, the Egyptians who were with Akhenaten are called the Israelites. So we have with Akhenaten now 2 groups, the Israelites, which are the Egyptians, and the mercenaries, which are the Hebrews. They were defeated, and both groups fled in the desert, which is the second Exodus. So we have two Exodus. So those people, the Israelites and the Hebrews, found themselves in the desert and found themselves estranged from the true religion of Egypt. And Hazarziv, who is called Moses in the Bible, was counseled by his father-in-law to bring these two groups back to the true religion of Egypt. But Moses took the wisdom from the beginning to separate the two groups, the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Judah, two different kingdoms. And we have to know also that the Sumerian and the Egyptian knew about the 3,000 years cycle. According to that cycle, after 3,000 years, the world changed from solar thinking, which is the thinking of the Black people, to lunar thinking, which is the thinking of the West. So the Egyptian knew that in the year minus 1,000, they will reach the point where their civilization will start its hibernation. They had to hide what they have of the most precious. Now we know that the most precious things they had was their religion. So they had to hide that religion. So they spread the fake news that the Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel, have been lost. How can in a nation where when the king, an enemy king, plotted something in his bedroom, the prophet knew it, and they told the king of Israel, don't go that way. How can in that nation of prophets, how come can a segment of the population be lost? It is impossible. So that was a schema only to hide the truth. What was happening was that the Egyptian had to hide what they had of the most precious, that their religion. So the Israelites, who are the Egyptian former followers of Akhenaten, and the Egyptian who were versed in divine mystery in the motherland, both groups had to migrate to hide that precious truth they have. Now, this southward migration of the Egyptian can be justified by comparative study, because we know that they were hiding what? They were hiding their religion. Now we have seen that their religion, that religion is an exact science. And up to now, the only trend of traditional religion which is found to be an exact science is the Bakongo, the Congo religion, the religion of the Bantu people. So we learn from this that they were the one who had to hide the divine mystery. So they are part of them are the Israelites of the Bible. That migration was made in two waves. The first wave went through the north of Cameroon and the joining land of Nigeria. This is explained by the similarity between the religion of the Congo people and the religion of the Igbos of Nigeria. The religion of the Igbo of Nigeria is based on the chi. Now, the chi is a power and a spirit. This highest chi is God. When the Congo people met with the Portuguese, they said to the Portuguese that their religion is the use of the Nkisi, Kisinti. Now, the Nkisi is a power. Nkisi has power, becomes in plural Nkisi, but Nkisi means also spirit. And Nkisi has spirit, becomes in plural Bakisi. And the highest Nkisi is God. Ndambi and Mpungu to Lendo. Mpungu and Nkisi are synonymous. So God is the highest Nkisi, the Nkisi that includes all authority. So we see there is a similarity in both religion. Religion, according to this schema, religion is the use of this divine spirit in order to increase one's divine power. The second wave of the migration came through Ethiopia, and both waves were directed toward the basin of Congo River. Among the Songe people of the Democratic Republic of Congo, they clearly remember that they came from the north through Ethiopia. And in his book, here, Vasile Jaga, the author speaks of the similarity between the Congo people and Ethiopia. He mentions that in both kingdoms, the king were elected. In both kingdoms, there is a prefix used that has title of honor. For example, in Congo, we use Nenchundi, Nembamba. In Ethiopia, they use Z in order to express honor. And there are a lot of similarity. So this is what history teaches us, that there is a kinship between Kemet and Kongo, which is a theological one, which is also in the same organization of the mystery. The unity of the culture of Congo and Kemet is reminiscent of the unity of the ancient civilization of Egypt, Nubia, and Ethiopia in solar religion. Thus, the nature of the solar religion has an exact science, and the fact that it is still alive among some initiatory circle of the Congo is a hope that we can happen to establish a cultural unity of Africa around the notion of the scientificity, the original scientificity of African traditional religion. And the time for setting the basis of this unity is now. The means for this endeavor is by explaining the different trends of traditional religion by the means of the Kemetic cosmological argument, which is an exact science, because science is universal. Thank you.
Dr. Luyaluka, you have blown me away. The knowledge that you just shared is so deep, and my goodness. Do you have a book where we can read all this precious knowledge, what you just released?
The part on the migration, I never wrote it and never spoke about it. This is the first time
It's the first
I
time.
speak about this.
Wow.
Yes.
My
This
goodness.
is the first time I speak about the migration, the unity of Israel and the Congo people. I never spoke about this. I never wrote about this.
I think you should write about it. We need a book because the information was so fast. It went so fast. I hadn't even time to write everything down. So thank you once again for being here. I really enjoyed the information that you share and bring out. It resonates with my spirit. And now I have some questions. Salama Benazulu.